Alright, so we're here in our Excel model. In the last lesson we took data, 3 different data tables. One was imported from text, one was just a copy and paste, and one is a linked table. You can tell it's a linked table because of that little chain right down there in the weather tab. And I want to do a calculation here. For every day I have a data point of what the high temperature was, but that's too much granularity for me. I'm looking for sales trend by whether it was a warm day or not, and getting that much granularity is not it's going to be too much noise in my opinion. So what I want to do is I want to add a column that groups these into 10. So the highs were in the 50s or 60s or 70s or something like that. So I'm going to add a column here, and I'm going to type an equal sign to start a formula just like in Excel, and then start to type round. And you see that they offer 3 different round functions: round, round down, round up. Now all of those are in Excel. I'm going to press the tab key to choose round. Alright, they want to know what I want to round. I want to round the high temperature column. Note that you cannot use the arrow keys. I cannot press the left arrow key 1, 2, 3 times to get over to high temp. You have to use the mouse or start to type the name of the table, like weather, and then choose date. Alright, so either one of those will work. I'm going to use the mouse. And then comma, number of digits. Well, if I would round to 1 digit, I would end up with an integer. I want to round to -1 digits, which should take this data and round it to the nearest 10. I'm going to press enter, and Excel jumps into action, copies that formula down, so I don't have to double click to copy or anything like that. The one thing I do have to do every single time though is they give me a horrible heading here of calculated column 1. I really wish that I could change this before I started. Unfortunately, you have to add the column and then right click on the heading, choose rename column, and we'll call this highs in the. I envision this later becoming a row label in the pivot table, or maybe a column label in the pivot table. Alright, let's go back and take a look at what we have here. I have a table that has both location and weekday concatenated together. So I need to build that back in my main table, so that way I'll be able to do a join between those two. We already have location, but I need to get weekday, so I'm going to add a column here. Now, to get weekday, of course, you probably know that we would use the text function, equal text of the date, comma, and then in quotes 4 Ds, D, 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 D. As I was going through the DAX formula language trying to figure out which items were common to Excel, I was real upset that they didn't have the text function. That wasn't one they brought over. But then as I went through the list, there was an extra function that Excel doesn't have, and it's called format. And when I looked, I realized, well, wait, this is exactly what text does. And this kind of gives us a clue about the people who built Power Pivot. They're not Excel people. Format is a VB function. So in VB, if you wanted to format something, you wouldn't use the text function. You would use the format function. So that's the long-winded explanation of why you have to type text with the letters F-O-R-M-A-T. Alright, so the value I want is this date over here, and then a comma, and in quotes 4 Ds, 1, 2, 3, 4, closing parentheses, and enter. So I'll change this to be weekday, rename, perfect. And now I need to concatenate weekday and location. Let me just make sure. I'm going to look at the staffing sheet. I want to emulate this. So it's location first and then weekday. To make the link easier, I'm going to call the field location weekday to match. So here, type an equal sign, click on location, type an ampersand, click on weekday, press enter, and then right click. Rename column, and we'll call it location weekday. Alright, there you go. So in these versions of the DAX language, using format or over here using round, we're actually using DAX to add calculated columns into the grid. Later, we'll have an opportunity to use DAX to add calculations to the pivot table. So as I look at the DAX language, I think 80 of the functions are well suited towards adding functions to the grid. The other 60 functions are designed for adding measures, that's new calculated fields, into the pivot table. Well, in the next lesson, we're going to take a look at how to join these tables up. So thanks for watching.